mounting pressure on the Ford government. Teachers and parents are looking for answers on what the next school year is going to look like. With farms in Leamington and Kingsville in an active outbreak, mayors and MPPs are asking when the province is sending a coordinator to help. A live look outside now, 30 degrees with a little bit of wind, a nice breeze to help with the humidex. We're sitting at 36. That's what it feels like out there. Rain is likely on the way. Nick Sirkovich has the full forecast tonight. I'm Chris Ensing. Thanks for watching. There's growing pressure on the Ford government to make sure that students in this province go back to class full-time in September. And tonight, we have a clearer picture of what it would cost to reduce the risk of COVID-19, and it's through smaller class sizes. Our Queen's Park reporter Mike Crawley has a story.
In mid-July, returning to school is typically far from anyone's mind. But this is no typical summer. To lessen the risk from COVID-19, Ontario school boards are preparing for every scenario.
We'll work closely and with our school board to ensure we get this right, because when it comes to our kids, we'll do whatever it takes to keep them safe.
So what will it take to keep kids safe? To reduce transmission of the virus and create physical distancing in normally packed classrooms?
One of the things about full-time, 5-day-a-week is that it would require additional resources. It will require more space.
The province's largest school board is now putting some price tags to that. One proposal from the TDSB would put elementary students in cohorts of 15. The board says that would mean hiring as many as 2,500 extra teachers at a cost of nearly $250 million.
The TDSB certainly doesn't have a tenth of that lying around to be able to pay for that, so we would need provincial help with something of that magnitude.
For secondary students, the school year would be divided in 4 parts, so students would take only 2 courses at once.
It really is critical that we get provincial support through additional funding for this. The fact is, school boards are not budgeted with a pandemic in mind.
Will the province commit to more money? The Premier isn't saying.
Our goal as a government is to have kids in the classroom 5 days a week.
That's got the opposition parties hammering the government.
Hire more teachers for smaller classes, more custodians to do the cleaning and maintenance that are essential for infection control.
They're not going to be able to do that unless the Premier gives them the resources and the investments that they need.
The government is not willing to put the money on the table that's needed to safely, and I emphasize the word safely, reopen our schools full time in the fall.
We won't know what the return to class will look like in any Ontario school board until mid-August. The decisions will depend on what's happening with local spread of COVID-19 at the time. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, with 3 back-to-school plans that are on the table, we want to figure out what that means for parents and students in Windsor, Essex. So CBC's Jason Vio looked into that today. He joins us now. What do we know, Jason?
Well, Chris, the local public school board says there's no firm decisions in place about what September might look like at a school like this in Windsor, whether they're here full-time, part-time, or not at all. They say the situation really changes almost daily, so they're trying to incorporate these changes into their plan before they make any sort of public comment, and they're also looking for some more guidance from the province as well. But they say any decision that they make will be in consultation with public health officials. But one parent we spoke with today, she has 4 kids at the public school board. She expects more communication, she says, better communication from administration. She calls it sparse so far. We're less than 2 months away, and she says it makes it difficult to plan ahead and form an opinion on what to do.
I want to be reassured that my kids are going to be safe. The only way I can reassure myself that they are 100% safe is by keeping them out of school. But if I'm not going to keep them out of school, if we are going to do classroom learning online or in person, then I need to be reassured that there's going to be safety measures in place. And right now, there's just too many questions. What happens if a teacher contracts COVID? What happens if one of the kids in a family gets COVID, but another kid doesn't?
A lot of unanswered questions there, and because of that, Chris, she's unsure what will happen with her 4 kids come September, and she was just one of 15,000 parents who filled out a survey within the public school board about all of this, what they expect, how they feel about the upcoming school year. And let's take a look at some of those results from that survey. They kind of broke it down into 3 main opinions that they heard. One, some parents said their kids will be attending in September on a part-time or full-time basis. They say because their parents might need to work, they trust the school board safety measures, or feel their children need to socialize. Those were just some reasons given. Number 2, some parents say they won't be sending their kids at all, no matter what, so they're firm in that. And number 3, they say they're undecided. So those parents are likely waiting for more information, maybe particulars about the plan that we have not seen yet.
So good understanding from that perspective, but what about teachers? How are they feeling as September slowly approaches?
Well, the local Elementary Teachers Federation president, the provincial labor union there for the elementary school teachers, says they want more funding. First, for custodial staff to help clean schools and help with the sanitization, but also increase teachers if they are in fact moving towards smaller class sizes. And they say at this point, without a plan in place right now, they say they're worried.
I'm really concerned that we're going to be thrown into this, and you know, from a public relations point of view, they might say to parents things are fine, but the frontline educators will tell you, we usually put Band-Aid solutions on things and bear and brunt it. We can't here. We're dealing with kids' lives. We're dealing with educators' lives. We don't want an outbreak in one of our facilities. Like that's a mistake that nobody wants. And the only way to avoid it is through thoughtful planning and funding.
Now, the public school board also says that risk assessments are being done at each individual school because each one, again, is unique. They have different layouts, different size classrooms, for example. Some are old, some are new. So that's being done at each individual school board. As for the Catholic school board, they too are working on formulating a plan, and they also established a committee with a number of different people in the community to help guide that process along. But again, no firm timelines as to when parents and students might see any sort of plan just yet as to what they can expect for September. Chris.
Thanks for this, Jason. We'll keep an eye on this. The CBC's Jason Vio live tonight. Windsor, Essex now has its 69th death due to COVID-19. A woman in her 70s died in hospital after testing positive. The health unit says that there are an additional 11 new cases today for our farm workers, and confirmed cases continue to grow among people that are 20 to 39 years old. The medical officer of health says it's due to more people that age working, particularly in healthcare. Tomorrow, Premier Doug Ford is coming to the region. He'll be stopping in Leamington and Kingsville, where there are still outbreaks of COVID-19 at area farms. But Dale Molnar is reporting that the province still has questions to answer about how the efforts are being coordinated.
Mayor Drew Dilkins and other political leaders in the area asked Emergency Management Ontario last week for a coordinator to oversee the testing and other efforts in the Leamington and Kingsville area. Yesterday, it came up again in a parliamentary meeting.
Have you heard back from those people?
Mr. Hatfield, we have not.
CBC News has tried repeatedly to get a hold of the program coordinator, Chris Pittons, over the past 2 days and have been unsuccessful in getting an answer. CBC also asked the Minister of Health the question. She listed off the entities that are at work.
Well, provincially, we have been coordinating efforts in the Windsor-Essex area. Dr. Heyer has been coordinating that. We've been working with a local Chief Officer of Public Health in Windsor-Essex, along with Public Health Ontario, with Ontario Health, and with teams that we've been sending in there.
But Leamington Mayor Hilda MacDonald is still not satisfied.
I would ask them to look at the British Columbia model, where the province really took it under their wing. The isolation piece, you can't leave the isolation piece up to the farms to handle. In order to have full oversight, it has to be handled by the province.
Premier Ford says he is looking forward to his visit.
I'm in constant communication with folks down there, be it the Mayor Santos or Mayor MacDonald. Can't wait to see both of them tomorrow.
MacDonald says as soon as she sees the Premier, she plans to press him again for a coordinator. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
A response tonight from the Ontario Health Media team. Last night, CBC News told you that MPP Taras Natashak was asking the provincial government about hiring Switch Health, a private company with ties to the PC party, to test farm workers for COVID-19. In an email today, Ontario Health says that in part it's held accountable to conduct a fair and transparent process. Let's lay some of this out. They're saying that it was one of 15 vendors that submitted proposals. Ontario Health evaluated and assessed those proposals against standard criteria, and that Switch Health was deemed the successful vendor. Now, they're testing a majority of agri-farm workers in the area. Of the 2,800 agri-farm workers that have been tested in Windsor, Essex, about 1,800 of them were on site at farms. Now, the health unit in Windsor, Essex plans to ask for more money to bring back services that had to stop during the pandemic. We expect to learn more at a board meeting tomorrow.
COVID is here to stay, and with the support of our board, we are hoping that we can dedicate some staff to do the extra work related to COVID, in addition to the existing infectious disease program and the health inspectors that are currently supporting it. We can get some additional support, and then we can also try and focus on some of the other public health programs that we were deferring as a result of COVID.
A cross-border healthcare worker who was diagnosed with COVID-19 in late March is finally in rehab. It comes after he spent a total of 7 weeks in ICU, as well as almost 2 more months recovering in hospital.
Thank you so much. Thank you. For the video. Yes, thank you so much.
Take care. Good job, guys.
Thank you. Love you all. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God.
That emotional moment there captured on video. Tori Robertson first tested positive for COVID-19 on March 28th. He was taken to hospital that same day, moved to the ICU shortly after. Eventually, he was put on a ventilator. At one point, he was taken off, but that was because he needed to go on dialysis after his kidneys failed. Yesterday, Robertson finally got to leave Windsor Regional, now rehabilitating at Hotel Dieu. But his wife says that his journey, far from over.
You know, the COVID also affected his brain, so some brain bleeds and stuff like that. So he has, you know, a lot of things to rehab. He still has a long journey ahead of him, and he's at there. I'm happy that he's at the rehab hospital, and, you know, I guess he's going to make it.
Medical screening is being stepped up at border crossings.
I think it's a little late personally, and I think it would have been more helpful if we could have get them earlier. But you know what they say, better late than never.
The federal government has announced plans to send 192 quarantine officers to airports and major land crossings. Now, Fortin expects about 5 of those quarantine officers to be stationed in Windsor. Chatham-Kent moves to stage 3 on Friday. The medical officer of health says that they haven't seen community transmission of COVID-19. It's been primarily spread through known close contacts. Dr. David Colby says that's why, as of now, there's no mandatory mask policy in place. It's one of the few places left in Ontario without one.
I'm not against masks, and we require them for personal service settings like haircuts and beauty salons, nail places, and servers in on patios and in restaurants when they open on Friday. They're all required to wear masks. But what I do not want are masks to be used as an excuse to not do physical distancing, which is far more effective.
An update on a story that we brought you last week. A couple with plans to retire in Mexico have been stuck in Windsor during the pandemic, but they have some good news today. The Mexican consulate in Leamington has given them the ability to cross the border into the United States to finish their trip.
Well, tell me what you feel about that.
I feel great. I think this was the only thing that was missing.
Now, the couple had sold their home in Kawartha Lakes before the pandemic with plans to drive to Mexico, but they were halted at the border. Alex is Canadian, his wife Mexican. The couple have been in Windsor since March, spending their retirement money on temporary housing, while the border closure continues to be extended. Flying is an option, but the couple says it would cost too much to ship the car, and Alejandra doesn't have a license, so she couldn't drive across. Special consideration, the only option, and it was granted during an emergency meeting with Mexican officials in Leamington who heard the couple's story on CBC News.
So I called them and I received a emergency appointment, and that way we get the papers for Alex.
Now, wearing masks is a proven and easy way to prevent the spread of COVID-19, but still some people are opposed to wearing them. And that led to a troubling new development. Bogus cards claiming a medical exemption from wearing a mask. They're popping up even at hospitals. Lorenda Redikoff has the story.
They're cards that state you have a medical condition, exempting you from having to wear a mask, but they're fake.
There are no such things as medical exemption cards.
And people are even flashing them as they try to go into hospitals, posting about it on social media.
I gotta get in there. Absolutely, but here's the thing. Just for the meantime, you have to wear a mask.
No. But really, coming to the hospital with that kind of thing and creating a social media stir is not what people should be doing.
She says it's not a lot of people doing this, but it's happened at a number of hospitals.
I think that most people believe that if you are asked to wear a mask, you should wear a mask. There are people with real medical conditions, and those are the people we have to be concerned about, not people who, for whatever reason, don't want to wear a mask.
The cards are being touted by the same people who oppose the lockdown and say masks take away their freedoms. They're even making money selling the cards.
It's sort of infuriating a bit. It's a little bit insulting, you know?
Dave Watson has cystic fibrosis. With a lung function at around 40%, he's not sure he'd survive if he got COVID-19. Though he has breathing issues, he says a mask works for him.
Doing stairs with, say, groceries, it can be a little bit of a hassle for sure. But normal shopping and that, I can't imagine it's going to hurt anybody.
The cards aren't only popping up in Canada. Similar ones, also fake, are being used in the U.S. One version here uses the symbol for the Red Cross. The Canadian Red Cross says it's a misuse of its emblem, that they contacted the group that made the cards, and that the group agreed to remove the symbol. Lorenda Redikoff, CBC News, Toronto.
The wait time to see a doctor at local emergency rooms is getting longer now that the worst of the pandemic is over, and that wait is well above the provincial average of just over an hour. At the Met campus of Windsor Regional Hospital, it's almost 2 hours. At Olette campus, it's 1.3 hours, and at Erie Shores Healthcare in Leamington, it's 1.4.
Had a shortage of anesthesiologists within the last year, and we went on a recruitment blitz and were successful enough to recruit 3 that are going to be starting soon to help with that shortage. But we're doing the same thing with emergency room physicians.
Now, he says the hospital has been struggling with staffing shortages since before COVID-19 arrived, and says that they're also scheduling difficulties because of doctors who work on both sides of the border. A massive field fire caused about $40,000 in damages late this morning.
Upon arrival, there was multiple fire fronts, just given the wind, had blown it in many directions, 3 major directions that we could count.
Now, the fire that you're looking at started around 11:30 this morning. Officials say they extinguished it quickly with help from local farmers in the area. About 30 acres of field burned. No injuries or damages to surrounding structures were reported. An investigation surrounding the cause is underway. A live look outside here as we see a ship on the Detroit River. We have the full forecast with Nick Sirkovich coming up next after the break. The Bank of Canada says that the road to the post-pandemic economic recovery is going to be long and bumpy. The bank laid out its forecast today and, as expected, held its benchmark interest rate at 0.25%.
If you've got a mortgage or if you're considering to make a major purchase, or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident that interest rates will be low for a long time.
The Bank of Canada says it will keep its key interest rate low to help the economy recuperate from COVID-19 shutdowns. The bank says that the early phases of the recovery look promising, but it expects the economy to contract by nearly 8% this year, with a 5% recovery next year. It's not clear how quickly consumer demand will recover due to changes in spending habits, work patterns, and social behavior. And joining us now for a live look at the weather is Nick Cirkovich. Nick, I feel like this is the summer of forecasts because I was walking in and it's patio season everywhere, more patios than ever. But is it going to be good?
I mean, it's going to be hot. Good is such a general term because it depends who you ask, I guess,
That's true,
right?
yeah.
You know, I like it. Except when I'm wearing this, then I don't like the heat and humidity because then you're just dripping sweat by the time you walk in the building. Otherwise, it's nice for summer weather. Now, we've got a little bit of rainfall to deal with as we head through tonight and tomorrow. And then after that, heading into the weekend, it's sunshine and also some pretty hot temperatures once again. This is the rain that we're talking about. Earlier today, we had a little bit of high cloud cover. Otherwise, it's been pretty sunny across the region. Temperature-wise, sitting at 30 degrees right now in Windsor. Basically the same across southwestern Ontario, with the humidex feeling like about 36. And this is rising into the weekend, and it's that humidity that you're really going to feel as we head through, especially Saturday and Sunday. Now, we do have some rain to talk about. This model not really picking up a lot of rainfall here, but late overnight, early morning hours, expect to see showers in the Windsor area and then moving eastward as we head through the morning. And then into the afternoon, we're looking at the risk of some scattered thunderstorms. So generally, we are looking at on and off showers and thunderstorms throughout the day tomorrow. So I'm going to be one big heavy rain event, but we are looking at on and off showers throughout the day. Friday starts out cloudy. I think through the afternoon, we're going to clear out with the cloud cover. And Saturday, we've got sunshine as well. So Friday afternoon, Saturday, good sunshine. In terms of rainfall accumulations, the models are really mixed on this thing. Again, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. You can't put too much stock in the exact numbers, but generally about 5 to 15 millimeters across the region. Some areas will see more if you get hit by some heavier thunderstorms. And the biggest risk with this is going to be heavy downpours and potentially some strong winds as well. Overnight tonight, 22 degrees with the humidex still feeling like about 25, 26 in the overnight. Humidex tomorrow of 38, highs of about 29. Long range forecast into the weekend, all the way up to 34 degrees on Saturday. That comes with a humidex of 44, and we stay in the 30s right through until Monday. Wow. So I leave it to you if this is good or not.
Up for interpretation. I like how you used that earlier.
It depends on where you're going. To the beach, yes. To work, maybe not.
It might be a little tougher.
Yeah.
Thanks for this, Nick. Now, coming up after the break, everyone's favorite secret artist has hit the subway. That's next.
a.m.
A change has come to the city of Bristol, England. A sculpture of a Black Lives Matter protester has been installed in place of where a statue of a 17th century slave trader once stood. Protesters pulled down the old statue last month, threw it into the harbor. Now this new statue, titled A Surge of Power 2020, it's only temporary. It was installed by a British artist without the permission of city officials. Bristol's mayor says it will ultimately be up to local residents to decide on a permanent replacement. The mysterious British artist Banksy went undercover in London's underground to deliver a pro-mask message. He posted this video on social media showing how he disguised himself as a cleaner to create his latest pandemic-inspired art. It's titled, "If You Don't Mask, You Don't Get." London's transportation officials have since removed it, citing their anti-graffiti policy. It's 6:29 p.m. and that's it for CBC Windsor News. You can always find more updates on our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're going to join Power and Politics next, already in progress. Thanks for watching. Make sure you have yourself a great night.